Hi guys, welcome. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, 2020. Here's a quick schedule of what we are going to do today. First thing, I'm going to begin with your independent study packet. We are going to start off with the story of using a timeline, and then we'll go off to the smoke jumpers along with the writing, root words, and then the second thing that I will end with today will be the reading of the Chocolate Touch, chapter 8. If you don't have your independent study packet, go ahead and put this on pause. Quickly run and go get it along with the pencil so that we can go ahead and get started. Here is your independent study packet, the one that I gave you guys on Monday. Hopefully you have it. Okay. If you turn the page, guys, the very first page that you have here is your elementary reading log. While you're at home, we do want you to continue reading. Remember, you should be reading 20 to 30 minutes a day. Make sure you write down the date that you read, the title of the book, the amount of time that you read. If you read 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or longer, make sure you write that down, and then have your parents initial it. If you run out of space, guys, you can always go ahead and attach another piece of paper to this. Okay? And then here is the very first assignment we are going to get started with. And this is titled Using a Timeline. I am going to do my best to hold my phone and read this and write in it at the same time, guys. So please be patient with me and follow along. Also, you guys, remember that if you need to pause this, go ahead and pause it. You can always pause and then replay if you need to catch up on something, or if you need to go back and listen to something again. You can always do that, okay? So let's get started. Again, this is called Using a Timeline. It says, a timeline is a tool that we can use to help us understand history. It can tell us what happened at different times. It can tell us how much time there was between two events. It can give us a picture of dates in our minds. That helps us see how they all fit together. Timelines aren't only for old events. People still use them today. They help us keep track of important dates in our lives. You can even make a timeline for yourself. A timeline looks a lot like a number line when you begin. Draw a straight line across the page. Make little marks for the important events in your life. Your timeline might begin with your birth. Include things like the first time you walked and when you started school. It might show the year that you were in each grade. The year goes on the side of each mark. The event goes on the other side. Here is a sample timeline. So here is a sample timeline, right? And again, just like it says, you make your line across the page. On top, you have the years, and then on the bottom, you have the events. So you can see in this timeline, in 2003 was when this person was born. In 2004 is when this person walked. In 2008, they attended preschool. 2009, kindergarten. 2010, first grade. And 2011, second grade. Let's go on to the questions. First thing over here, we are going to write our date, right? And today is 3/18/2020. There it is. It says, answer the following questions based on the reading passage. Don't forget to go back to the passage whenever necessary to find or confirm your answers. You can always go back over here if you need to find the answers, guys, or if you want to underline or highlight certain important things on this side, important facts. Number 1, what is a timeline? Okay. So if I go back over here, in the very first paragraph, it says here, a timeline is a tool that we can use to help us understand history. So over here, okay, I'm not going to copy the sentence. I want to write it in my own words. So it is, a tool that helps me understand history. Here it is. There it is. A tool that helps me understand history. I want you to go ahead and answer the rest of these on your own. Remember, you can always go back to the story to find your answers. I will go ahead and read the questions to you, but I do want you to do these on your own. Number 2 says, why do people use timelines? Number 3, what kind of events should be on your timeline? Number 4, what is on a timeline besides the events? And number 5, make a timeline that shows 3 events from your own life. And right here for number 5, this bottom part right here, that is where you will make your own timeline. So again, if you need to, you can pause this, complete this, and then push play to go on to the next assignment. Okay? So next we will go on to the story of our smoke jumpers. And here it is. And I will be making notes and annotating as I read, and you can do that along with me. Remember, again, if you need to pause, go ahead. And you guys, I don't know if you remember, but this story, we read it at the very beginning of the school year. It was our very first story that we read, okay? It was one of our favorites, I do remember that. And it says here, remember to annotate as you read. And I will do my best to do that, guys, okay? So here we go. Smoke jumpers. Have you ever heard of smoke jumpers? A smoke jumper is someone who is trained to fight fires in rough terrain like mountains or other places that are difficult to get to. So right here, it told me rough terrain. Are areas like mountains, oh my gosh, mountains or other places that are difficult to get to. I'm gonna switch to a pen, guys, because that pencil, I don't like it. So here it is. Or other places that are difficult to get to. That is what rough terrain is. Places that are difficult to get to. Paragraph 2. Smoke jumping was introduced in the 1930s by the U.S. Forest Service. It was a way to get to forest fires quickly. Smoke jumpers are a national treasure. Their jobs are hard and very dangerous. Smoke jumpers parachute from a plane. They land on a spot near the forest fire. Firefighting tools, food, and water are also dropped by parachute. The men and women smoke jumpers get enough tools and supplies to last them for about 2 days. After that, they will get more. Okay. So here in this paragraph, I learned how smoke jumpers get to the area where they're gonna go. It told me here that they parachute from plane to plane. And if you guys remember, when they parachute, the parachute kind of looks like this. I'm gonna do my best to draw a picture here. Okay. And then here's the smoke jumper. And then they're attached. And they are jumping from an airplane. Okay. And they're parachuting down. And then they also, this paragraph here, I also learned that they also send their equipment down that they need. It says here that firefighting tools, food, and water are also dropped by parachute. Right here. Next page. Smoke jumpers wear special gear to keep them safe. Padded fireproof suits and helmets with face masks protect jumpers from fire, rocks, and trees. Parachutes are another important piece of equipment. They can be steered by the smoke jumpers. Their bright colors can be spotted quickly. Being a smoke jumper takes strength and training. Smoke jumpers learn to jump from a plane, handle a parachute, and land safely. Once they are on the ground, they must be able to climb trees, use different saws, and work well in a team. Next time you hear about a forest fire, you can be sure that smoke jumpers are on the job. I'm going to go back over here to paragraph 4, because here they told me what a smoke jumper uses to keep safe. Talked about their equipment. Okay. It says here they wear special gear to keep them safe. They wear padded fireproof suits and helmets with the face masks that protects the smoke jumpers from fire, rocks, and trees. And then paragraph 5 talked about another important piece of equipment, which is their parachute. Because with the parachute, they can, the parachutes can be steered. The word steered, I want you to think of like a steering wheel, so it helps with the direction that they're going to go in. Right? So it's kind of like a wheel, or it helps them decide which way they want to go. So think of like a steering wheel with the word steered. Yeah. And it says here that in order to be a smoke jumper, you have to have a lot of strength and you have to go through a lot of training. And most importantly, they have to learn how to land safely. So that is a smoke jumper. Let's take a look at the caption here. I know it's kind of dark, but right here, this is just showing us all of the equipment that they use. And then here's a picture of a smoke jumper with a parachute, and here's the parachute. And here's another one. It says smoke jumpers train in states that have large forests like California and Oregon. So these are the states that they go and train in. You turn the page, guys. Here is your writing that I want you guys to work on. It says here, this is a mini writing lesson. It says, after reading smoke jumpers, imagine that you are a smoke jumper. Write a journal entry about your experiences fighting a fire. Your narrative should use facts and details you have learned from reading smoke jumpers. You are writing a narrative, guys. We've done this before. In fact, you just finished doing it. Story of the tornado, that was a narrative. It's a made-up story, but it has things that can actually happen. Here in this one, I want you to write a narrative where you imagine that you're a smoke jumper, right? And tell me what happened. Give me facts and details in your journal entry. You can do your writing here on this page. And if you would like, you can even draw a picture. If you have some paper at home that you want to do this writing on, you can also do that as well. You can put this video on pause. That way you can complete this and then go on to the next assignment. So here we did our smoke jumpers with the writing. Now I'm going to go on to root words. This over. And here is your root words worksheet. Right here, a name. I'm just going to go ahead and put the date again. Okay. It says here, what's the root word? A root word is a word that can be made into new words. We make these new words by adding letters to the front of a root word. We call these letters a prefix. We can also make new words by adding letters to the end of a word, of a root word. We call these letters a suffix. All right. Here's an example that they put here. The example root word is fair. Okay. So now they're going to use that root word and they're going to add un to the front. So they added the prefix un, which made the new word unfair. And you guys already know that unfair means that it is not fair. And then here they added est to the end, making the word fairest. All right. It says for each word below, write the root word in the blank. Okay. So let's take a look at these and let's do a couple of these together. I'm going to use a highlighter for this one. If you don't have a highlighter, you can use a pencil if you'd like. The word is youngster. Okay. So I see the root word. I am going to highlight the root word, which is young. There it is. And then I'm going to write it on the line. There it is. Number 2, the word is action. The root word here is act. And then I'm going to write it on the line. Number 3, the word is dislike. Dislike. The root word here is like. If you don't have a highlighter, guys, you can just circle like I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to circle the root word, which is like, just like that. And then I'm going to write it down. Like. And then we'll do one more together. Next word is children. Right. Root word here is, what do you guys think it is? Child. Highlight, child, and then write it down, child. There it is. I will go ahead and redo the rest of the words, and then I want you to do this on your own. Number 5, the word is slowest. Number 6, the word is nicely. Number 7, the word is addition. Number 8, the word is careful. Number 9, the word is preview. And number 10, the word is unfriendly. So go ahead and complete the rest of the assignment on your own. If you need to put this on pause and then push play when you're finished. Okay. And we are actually done with our independent study packet. Now we move on to number 2, which is our story of the chocolate touch. So let me just go ahead and move everything out of the way. And here is the story we've been reading. Hopefully you guys have been keeping up with me because I am already on chapter 8. This is a long chapter, guys, so I'm not going to finish all of it, okay? I'm going to stop halfway, and then we will continue the rest of it when we're back on here, okay? So chapter 8. And if you don't remember, we have John, who at the beginning of the story, he was obsessed with candy. Specifically, he loved anything that had to do with chocolate. He found a coin. With that coin, he was able to purchase a special box of chocolate. In that box of chocolate, he found one piece of chocolate. He ate it. And as soon as he ate it, he was cursed with the chocolate touch. So basically, everything he touched turned into chocolate. And now he is noticing that those powers are getting stronger and stronger. So let's see what happens here in chapter 8. It says, English class passed without incident. Miss Plimsoll distributed word lists for her pupils to take home. The more words you know, she explained, as always, the more exactly you can think. There was some difficult new words. John noticed avarice, indigestion, acidity, unhealthiness, moderation, digestibility. As Miss Plimsoll explained the meaning of each one, it seemed to John as though they all had a special bearing on his present uncomfortable condition. At last the bell rang. Very well, class, Miss Plimsoll said. Time for outside activities. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miss Plimsoll. Miss Plimsoll gave the signal for dismissal, and the pupils in the front row filed out, following by those in the second row, including John and Susan. Susan played a violin in the school orchestra, and usually she and John went to the rehearsals in the auditorium together. This time, Susan hurried on ahead of him. John followed very slowly. The members of the orchestra were sitting at their music stands on the auditorium stage when John, carrying his dark blue trumpet case, got to his chair in the brass section. Mrs. Quaver had already begun to explain a difficult passage to the girl who played the flute. Just after Jay sings, nestlings chirp and flee, she was saying, you come in with your trill. Doodle, doodle, oodle, oodle, oo. Do you see the place on your score? Good. Ah, John, Mrs. Quaver exclaimed, seeing him in his place. I'm glad you're not absent. As I have just told the others this afternoon, we're having the first joint rehearsal of my arrangement of A Boys Song by James Hogg. We've been over all the individual parts and all the sections you will recall. Now it's time to fit the pieces together. John nervously opened his trumpet case and took his shining golden trumpet from its bed of scarlet velvet. The beautiful new instrument gave him confidence. He worked the valves nimbly with his fingers and looked up at Mrs. Quaver again. Now, John, she said, tell me when your little solo begins. Right after the end of the second verse, John promptly replied. He had practiced his part every evening in the basement at home for the last 2 weeks. He knew every note perfectly. After the line, that's the way for Billy and me. Good, Mrs. Quaver said. And don't forget what I told you, John. This is a happy song. I want you to play ta-ta, 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 ta, simply repeating a rhythm of the voice. And I want you to be light and lively. This is supposed to be a song of a boy who loves romping in the country. Ta-ta, 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 ta, John thought. That shouldn't be too difficult, even with the whole orchestra listening to him. He played it over and over again at home, but he would have to try extra hard here. This was to be his first solo. Everyone else was depending on him to play it properly. Right, said Mrs. Quaver brightly. With her baton, she rapped twice sharply at the music stand before her. All the musicians brought their instruments into playing position. Susan poised her bow over the strings of her violin. John held his trumpet close to his mouth and wiggled his fingers on the bells. Guys, I'm going to stop here and we will continue tomorrow. All right? I will have a new schedule for us tomorrow, and we'll see you guys then.